Today's episode of Maine Web News is brought to you by Computer Improvements. Visit them at 101 Water Street in Skowhegan or call 474-3151 for all of your computer needs. That's 474-3151.
And now, Maine Web News.
Today I was invited to join the Piscataquis Patriots as they met with 2nd District Congressman Mike Michaud. Here's some footage from today's meeting.
The part that actually, when you look at the effect that it's had, for instance, in the 2nd Congressional District, $80 million went to water and sewer projects. I think it was 48 municipalities received funding. From what the municipalities had said is that it actually retained or created over 1,150 jobs. How they determine that, I have no idea. But that's, you know, what they said. When you look at the transportation piece of the stimulus bill, Maine actually was the first state in the country to be able to get that money and projects assigned. We have nationwide over $2 trillion worth of infrastructure needs, and for every $1 billion spent, it's equated to about 5,000 jobs, new jobs. And when you look at some of the other part of the stimulus money that actually went to the university, for instance, dealing with wind and tidal power, I think that has been successful. It's not a perfect bill, and quite frankly, the bill that I would like to have seen is actually more on the infrastructure side versus some of the other areas in there. Matter of fact, I have a bill in to take $65 billion of the unspent Recovery Act funding and actually put it into our infrastructure. We're going to have to, we've got a lot of roads and bridges that needs to be repaired, and infrastructure, I think, is the way to go. As far as the strike, actually, our union did not vote to strike.
I did not, you didn't?
No,
okay, I didn't even know.
That was actually back as the first strike that actually
don't quiz me on those. I don't know those questions.
Great Northern had, and I believe at the end it was the paperwork is actually did not vote to strike. It's actually the machinists, which was separate because that they negotiate separately, well together, but they take it their own different. Vote on it. So, but I have to get back. That was way back years ago.
People told me, and they said the questions, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time.
Well, there is a good book, and I'd actually recommend it.
Write it down. I don't have
and you've probably already gone to the website. But David Walker, who was the former Comptroller General of the United States, if you go to his website, and I still believe it's on there, and it's IOUSA the movie, all one word, IOUSAthemovie.com. It's a 30-minute video, and he very eloquently talks about what's happening in our country. We have number one, a savings deficit, a budgetary deficit, and a trade deficit. But he said the biggest deficit of all is a leadership deficit. Because everyone knows what's happening with the entitlements and what's happening with our deficits, but no one's really willing to step up to the plate. And the example that he gave in the book is actually during the whole Suez Canal issue, where the British and the French were going in, the United States tried to convince them to stand down because the Russian was getting more anxious as well, and the United States could not get the French or the British to back down. Initially, they ultimately did. You know how they did it? They threatened to call in the debt, and that,
he knows that. I didn't know that.
And that's what made them back down. And that's where my concern is. If you look at our budgetary deficit, in the countries, China being one that owns a huge portion of our debt, then we are. That is a national security issue. And that's why I feel strongly that we do have to get it under control. It's not going to happen overnight, don't get me wrong. I mean, but it's I think if we don't start addressing it, it's going to be a big concern. And
it's a form of slavery with that example. They were enslaved to us.
Absolutely. When
Hillary...
Hillary...
enslaved to China.
And the Federal Reserve is now the #2 holder of our debt, which is a private bank. It's kind of a scary thought.
And when Hillary was still in the race as the Democratic nominee for president, I asked her point blank, what is she going to do with China, manipulating their currency? Because everyone knows they do it. Her response, didn't like it, but it was an honest response. She said it's very tough to get tough with your banker.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And likewise, when she first became Secretary of State, one of her first trips she made was over to China to encourage them to buy more of our debt. And that's where I see, as a nation, if we can't turn this around, we're going to be in trouble. And I hope the Tea Party will continue focusing on the fiscal matters, because I think that's where you can get people, coalesced around you. Might not always agree, because there are different ways of dealing with things.
We all agree we want to reduce it. We all agree we want to stop spending, and we all agree we want our children to have liberty in our future.
Absolutely. There's another good book, if it might, is actually David Walker. He's trying to get me out of here.
Don't tell me. Don't get mad at me.
I'm not mad at you, Kevin.
David Walker, who's mentioned Comptroller General, he actually just published a book, Come Back America. And I've started reading that book, and actually he's got a lot of good suggestions in there that touches upon some of the stuff that you talked about. So I'd recommend you also read that book as well.
My buddy's writing them all down for me because I forgot my pen.
Oh, but it's on tape.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Just look at the tape.
Did
you press record?
So once again, I want to thank you very much, and
Thank you.
Later on down the road, if there's ever anything or you want to set up another meeting, please don't hesitate to let me know.
And I can bring you baklava?
Absolutely.
I will do that.
Thanks, Congressman.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you.
You sweet. We just finished our meeting with Congressman Michaud. He answered some of our questions. He elaborated on some of his agenda. We were not able to get all of the questions from all of our members in, but he is going to keep in contact with us, and we look forward to hearing from him in the future.
Yeah, we had a good talk with Mike. We got some questions answered. It's just not enough time, 45 minutes. She gave us an extra 15, which was very kind. I hope that he follows through with the healthcare statement that he made, where he said he would support any changes that Maine might see that that seem to be a detriment to this health care bill. I disagree with him on his take on taxes, which we talked about after. Unfortunately, you're not going to get it on tape. But I hope that we can have some more dialogue with Mike. We don't know if he'll be the next congressman. If he is, then I plan on coming to visit him again.
First of all, I'd like to thank you once again for meeting with me this afternoon. I really appreciate some of your concerns, and I hope that you stay focused on budgetary matters and keep elected officials accountable, but also to really see what's happening. And I'd recommend this book, Come Back America, by David Walker, who is a former Comptroller General of the United States. He has a lot of good ideas in here. And I do not receive a commission for the book. I want to make that clear. But actually, I got a lot of respect for David. He's been around for quite some time, and he's concerned with what's happening with our budget and fiscal issues here in the United States. So once again, thank you very much. Look forward to another meeting.